Hi there. Now the Apryse WebViewer is a powerful JavaScript library that allows you to work with PDFs, docx files, CAD files, spreadsheets and so on. And you can check out a lot of that functionality right now using the Apryse showcase. What you may not know is there's also a lot of sample code that you can download from our GitHub and get working with very quickly. Last week, we released a new sample working with AI as a simple chat tool. And in this video, we'll see how we can download that file and set it up to work with OpenAI and see how that allows you to interact with PDFs with a chat interface. You can download the entire WebViewer sample set using either a zip file or git clone, which is what I'm going to do. Once the clone is complete, we just need to navigate into WebViewer samples folder and then into the WebViewer Ask AI folder. I'm then going to edit that code with Visual Studio Code. We need to do three things before we can use this sample. The first is to call npm-i to install all of the dependencies, including the Apryse WebViewer. Apryse WebViewer contains a number of static assets that we need to make available at runtime. And in this case, we're using a script that will copy those files to where they need to be. The second thing we need to do is set up the environment variables. There's already a .env.example file, so we need to copy that and then copy in values that relate to OpenAI. You could, if you wish, modify the code to work with a different LLM, as LangChain supports that, but we're not doing that here. The values we need to set are the OpenAI API key. Also, we need to specify the model that we want. I'm using 3.5 Turbo, but others are available. We also need to specify the maximum number of tokens and the temperature. And this affects how creative the LLM is. And I'm optionally using a seed. Specifying a seed means you will get similar results if you ask the same question multiple times. And that's great during testing. You may not want that when you go to production. And now the third thing to do is to update index.js on the client so that it's got a license key for WebViewer. There's a couple of other things here that are worth noting. We're specifying an initial document, which we're going to get from an S3 bucket. We're also specifying a CSS file that allows us to style WebViewer. And we're calling this method import modular components. And that's allowing us to do some clever manipulation of the WebViewer UI. Once we've saved those values, all that remains is to call npm start. And after a few moments, WebViewer is going to appear, but with a new panel to the side that lets us ask questions of the PDF that's been loaded. The first thing that happens is it's using some built-in prompts to generate some potential questions you might like to ask of the document. You can click on one of those questions and it will then send that back to the LLM and show the response, including a link to the page where it finds information. Alternatively, you can select text and there's now a new button available which lets you summarize that text. Once again, there's a citation link, and let's try clicking on one of those links and it takes us to the page where the information was found. Awesome. And of course, you're welcome to enter any other question that you want to type in, and the LLM will do its best to answer it. And whilst the sample code includes an initial document, you're free to open any other document if you wish. So let's open a PDF that explains why the Apryse SDK is such a great document processing solution. As soon as the document loads, our old responses from the LLM will be discarded. And we're going to query the LLM with our new document to get some possible questions you might like to ask. For example, what problems can a document SDK solve? And now we're querying the LLM. It's giving us a detailed response, including links back to the page number, just as before. Awesome. So why not try this out for yourself? Download the code and see how it works and see how it can work for you. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.